it's not about selling. It's really more about what do we do? What do we do to keep ourselves in that place of where we not anti-aging, but feel younger, be younger, right? And be healthy. And because, young is all sometimes a state of mind. It's also the things that we do. Hey everyone, welcome to another great podcast. I'm Melanie Johnson, your host today. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. I have a girlfriend of mine that is on today that I've known forever. Like before we were both married, we were single at the time, but she is an beauty and skincare. Since I've known her, she's been in this industry. So if you're looking for your skin to glow and look beautiful and have less wrinkles, and also know how to get beautiful from the inside out, because a lot of it is from the inside that helps your skin look great on the outside. I just can't wait to dive in. And, we promise not to say anything like too private of going back like green room talk while we're doing this. Wanna welcome, she is the owner, founder, exceptional entrepreneurial woman. I can never keep up with her. People think that I'm fast paced. I can never keep up with this woman, Karen Ballou. She is the founder and owner of Immunocologie. So Karen, thanks for coming today. So good to see you, girlfriend.
Hey, I am so excited to be here. Having an opportunity to do this together and to share with others who are listening today it's just such a joy. And, it brings such happiness, when we're together, as you know. And I think about the many walks we went on, right? The hills that we climbed and the talks that we had. And, unbeknownst to all of us, how important walks are in our health journey, right? And boy, what kind of great conversations we had as girlfriends and just friends, just being together and having that time together. So I'm so excited to be here with you. Even if it's not a walk, it's still being, it's being together.
That's right. We're still getting the talking in. And, that makes me think the hills that we climbed, the ups and downs were very representative of life. Sometimes it was challenging. The tail was tough and we were out of breath and we wanted to turn around and go back. And then it was all downhill. We felt like running and screaming with our hands up in the air. But let our guests know how you got started on this skin journey. Started since I've known you with baby derm. And tell us how you got into the industry and what has led to who you are now.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, when we first met, it was always talking about skin. And of course, I say to people, I can talk about skin for 5 minutes or a lifetime. Well, we've known each other longer than we've been alive because it's been so long now that we've known each other that talking about skin has been so important in my life. But more so about the journey of what it means to us as an individual, right? And our own journey is different. Our own, even though skin is the largest organ of our body, it's our own journey, how we get to where we're going. And so early in my career, after going to college, I actually knew that I wanted to make a difference in the cosmetic industry. And it was so fascinating for me because when I was doing some study on the industry, from then to now, we did not have the kind of luxury spas that we have today. And so one of the things that I wanted to do is have a spa. And I thought, how do I get to that spa? And at one point, it was Elizabeth Arden who had Main Chance, and you had Canyon Ranch. And so you had all these health but they actually called those things at that time nutritional camps, or in some ways, I mean, this might not be appropriate for some people's world, but, they called them fat farms because it took celebrities and it took people of high profile and brought them to these locations and made sure they didn't drink alcohol, made sure that they ate, really healthy, and they put them on a wellness journey where they exercise and mind, body, and soul. But those were very special areas in the country. It was more indicative of the European lifestyle where people would go to the well-known spas over there. So when I did my homework and understanding more about our, what's in our country, what we're doing and in this area, it was more not just about beauty, but it was about how do we bring health to our body? How do we bring health to our skin? And I realized the important thing is we need to bring this to America. We need to have something that's in our neighborhood where we can go and have treatments for our skin and our body. And so I traveled out there, worked for Elizabeth Arden Cosmetics and worked in their marketing, which was fascinating. Got to know women behind the counter, the women that come up to the counter and do an education. And that was fascinating. And I moved on from that to Redken. And Redken was, of course, is a salon brand, but at the time that I worked with them, they had a skincare brand and a nutritional brand. That was extraordinary and loved being part of that team as well. But it also brought me to, I'm going to own a school one day. So I went and I ended up getting my aesthetic license because if you're really going to walk the talk and talk the walk, I thought, it's one thing to know about business, but it's
Mhm.
about how do I get my hands working? How do I get my hands dirty, right? In the sense of working on skin. And the only way to do that was through being an esthetician. But Melanie, and you may remember this, but there
Mhm.
was only one state in the country that actually had a licensing at that time. That's why it's so long ago. And it was actually in the state of Massachusetts. So I got my license. I moved out of Massachusetts and then went to Georgia, where it was a second state. And I opened up a school and became a teacher in aesthetics. And so I became a master esthetician at that point, an educator. And the life sort of changed, and I ended up selling the school and going on to open up a spa in Chicago area. And that was fascinating. I love being able to get, go in there and work on clients and massage and all of that. And it really gave me a full understanding of what we as individuals need to really help people feel the best they can feel
Mhm.
and get their skin looking glorious and glowing. And so a lot of that happened. And just to just sort of take you to that next level, I get, I really got very well known for understanding ingredients and the biotech side of like science and how science works on skin. And so I had a lot of consulting projects out there that brought me to that level of looking at products, but looking at ingredients and then matching that up with skin and how does it work on skin. And I love that part because I really got to
Mhm.
see differences in skin. And that's what, you and I have
Yeah.
talked about many times in our walks and just being together as girlfriends, just having that conversation that, it's not about selling. It's really more about what do we do? What do we do to keep ourselves in that place of where we
Mhm.
not anti-aging, but feel younger, be younger, right? And be healthy. And because, young is all sometimes a state of mind, it's also the things that we do. And that's why we were always very conscious
Yeah.
about the things that we were doing, even way back then. And
Yeah.
so it's a part of it. So having the school, having the spa, and then selling the spa and working with brands and working with science was my next journey in our industry. So it's been so fascinating. But, being a part of science and understanding what goes into a product has been a very big part of my journey too.
Yeah, and so convoluted today. It's so noisy in the skincare market now. I feel like everybody and their brother has kind of jumped into the industry. Celebrities and influencers are all coming up with their own brands. What should we be looking for in the ingredients? What are some of the things like, oh, definitely avoid if it has this, stay away from that, you know?
It's a very good question. This is a big question out there for so many consumers. How do you know? I don't know how all of you know how to pick a product because, when you are not
Yeah.
in the labs like I am helping to develop products and seeing commodity ingredients out there that aren't necessarily healthy for you. And you probably have been hearing a lot about this, Melanie, about, hormone disruptors, right? Things that will actually set
Mhm.
off within your
Yeah.
body hormone disruptors, endocrine disruptors. All of these things have been going on for many years. And in picking out, a product in this very disruptive industry of beauty, skincare has become, I mean, like you just said, so many people are doing skincare. And, when I developed immunocology,
Yeah.
which, means a study of the skin's immunity, I actually said to people, look, I almost feel embarrassed to have to say I'm coming out with a skincare brand because it seems like everyone, whether they have knowledge in skin or not, they go, well, I couldn't find anything, so I put a brand together. But, sometimes what happens underneath that, the cap, when you open it, smells nice, packaging looks
Mhm.
nice, but it's not really healthy for you.
Mhm.
And so to your point,
Yeah.
it's so difficult because you don't know how, most people don't know how to read a label. And if I could share with everyone
Mhm.
today, one thing is that you have a label. You think about, some people's label will and the amount of ingredients will be this big, some will be that big, some will be that big. And when it's this big, really a lot of ingredients, just be a little aware because too many ingredients are just setting things off in a whole different direction. So you want to sort of bring it down so that
Hmm.
if you take your fingers, you can see my finger here, you don't need that much and you can get a little thinner there.
Like an inch. Yeah. Seeing it and hearing it's like less than an inch.
Yeah. And so when you're looking at that first top layer, two, three, four, five, six ingredients are your active ingredients. Excuse me, those are the ingredients that are most in your product. That's the heaviest or largest amount of that
Mhm.
ingredient in the product. So water, a lot of times people will say,
Yeah.
the product is really just filled with water. I mean, that's all it is. But that's not true. I mean, there are different types of waters as well. Like in immunocology, we use a clay water in every one of our products, which is antibacterial, antimicrobial, and anti-inflammatory. And other people use other kinds of water, right? That's why you hear about the Swiss, the Alps, or you hear about, the Dead Sea or things of this nature, or what have you. But the key to that is that those first one, two to six, seven ingredients are what's going to be the largest amount. Then you go into the center. The center is where all the activity is, right? That's your activity.
Uh-huh.
So that's where you're going to find your science. That's where you're going to see your patent technology coming in. And that's where you're going to find yourself in a place where is that a technology that you believe in? Do you think it really can work? And then the bottom part of that is your five to six ingredients on the bottom are going to be ingredients that will either be, in some cases, in the past, you'll see that people use red dyes or blue and yellow dyes to create a color in a product. Not so much today as you did years ago, but it's still there. So when you see that, you might want to consider that's not a product for you. And when you see certain preservatives, those might be ingredients. Those preservatives and fragrances may not be the best thing for you, for the health of your skin and for your body, because those two things can be detrimental and can also be what we call those endocrine disruptors, hormonal disruptors as well. But, there are many ingredients out there that are known as to feel soft for the skin, one being mineral oil, and that is a form of petrolatum. And there was a study done at Harvard over 30 years ago now on mineral oil. And, everyone used mineral oil on their babies, right? On their baby bottoms. And, let's put a little bit of that oil on there, just like the powder. Look at the class action suits that they have had today on powder. Well, that talc is not healthy and it gets into your system. Well, mineral oil, to be honest with you, and this is not me telling the story just to tell a story. This is a true fact that the studies have been. Well, petrolatum is Vaseline, as you know, but it is also a form of mineral oil. And it is produced from tires, like the tires that we put on our cars. And what they do is
Mm.
they melt those down and they get mineral oil from that. Well, it's very carcinogenic. But here we are taking this commodity ingredient because it's very inexpensive to use. And it has a softening to the skin. But the permeation of that, because skin
Right.
is and has the ability to absorb. And so one of the things we have forgotten throughout the years is how our skin will absorb what we put on it. So have we thought about that just as a sense of being like, oh, wow, if I put that product in my skin, that product actually has the capability of absorbing into my skin and maybe into my body. So that's where there are a lot of commodity ingredients out there in the marketplace. And if I could say one thing is we have to be careful of those commodity ingredients. So one day and one time there was a comment, and this has been going on for a long time. Oh, those cosmetics, they're just filled with water and it's all about the packaging. Well, there is some real truth to that, but we've changed, the corner on that. Now we're realizing the importance of quality versus quantity. So you're going to find products that might be in, like,
Mhm.
for example, my products are in black glass. There's actually a Maron glass. It's a violet glass that's protecting the actual ingredients that are inside the bottle. So you want to be cautious of that, careful of that, and aware of that, that what is going in that bottle is very precious because it needs to go on your skin and be the right formulation of the right ingredients that are not toxic for your body, or fragrances that are not toxic for your body, or commodity ingredients that are toxic for your body. And so we've really turned that corner, as I mentioned, to where we really are thinking more like our gut health. And our gut health is our microbiome of our. So we are now thinking more about our immune system, right, than ever before, especially since the
Mhm.
pandemic. And so now we think about gut health is like skin health. We have a microbiome of the skin, we have a microbiome of our oral health, and microbiome of our gut. And the gut is actually there reflecting on our skin. So when we're out of balance, that feeling when our gut is out of balance, oh, don't feel good. I'm like, oh, skin has a way of also looking almost like that because it comes to the surface. So when you see things like breakouts, or you see red patches, or your big thing is
Mhm.
inflammation, those are things that's a reflection of what's going on inside. We want to correct it from the outside to go inside to be able to help take down that inflammation. So things that are in that commodity area could be very harmful to our body, just like certain foods are not healthy to our body, And so I go into that same category of how are we treating the microbiome of our skin as we might be treating the microbiome of our oral health and our gut health.
I was just reading recently that someone who has eczema, Nathan has gotten one of my sons, has gotten like this eczema stuff on his face. I guess it's eczema. It's not psoriasis, maybe psoriasis. And, they're giving him this steroid. So they're giving him like a topical thing on it. Kind of stings. It goes away when he stays on top of it. But it makes me think there's something going on in his gut that's causing that to come out on his skin, like you were
You
saying.
are
So you
so
got to
right.
think you can treat it here. You don't put it in your gut, then it's gonna keep coming back.
Yes. So good. One of the things that's really good for that is, and those that are listening to us, is that they should think about seeing either an integrative medicine person or a naturopathic doctor, because it's hard to get a
Mhm,
traditional doctor to really understand that gut health. It's not really what they do.
mhm,
So I really encourage you to
right.
bring Nathan really to see someone who is more of a naturopathic doctor to go in and find out what's going on. He may have even, some people have leaky guts, which, a certain type of
Mhm,
diet will put it back in place. But again, if it's showing up on the face, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I mean, yes, it can be environmental, right? From what's around us, but
mhm,
usually in most cases,
yeah,
it's going to be about the gut health.
interesting. So you were talking about the natural cosmetics. I've seen a trend where there are some brands coming out that they're supposed to be, all natural, no bad ingredients. But then when I smell them, they smell horrible. I'm like, oh, I had some makeup base that I used. And I was like, this smells rancid, but it's because there's no stuff in it. And then I realized,
Right.
oh, so, how do you get over that? Right. Because we want stuff that still is luxurious and smells nice, but then it's supposed to be good for you, but then you're like, "But this smells bad."
Well, I always say this to people because, it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? But let me say this. Whoever thought
Yeah.
we were going to be drinking spinach and we're going to be broccoli, drinking spinach, broccoli, apple, and let's say we add a little bit of purine and protein to it. Who thought we would be drinking a drink like that? You know? And those are some
Right.
of the most popular things out there today are people's smoothies, right? And so
Yeah.
that is where people are at today. But they don't taste necessarily great. And anybody who tells you that drinking broccoli, spinach, and it is not telling you the truth, or kale. I guess that's what the other one I wanted to say. That is not true. They hide it with avocado, they hide it with a little apple juice. Right. But we do it because we
Yeah.
know how
We
important
still have to
it
make it a
is.
little
Yeah. Yeah. So what I
Yeah.
was going to say to you is, I say, hey, look, if you understand that's healthy for your skin, then, going like this is one thing. But when you get it on your skin, you're not going to be smelling your skin, right? So it's
Right.
okay.
You're right, it doesn't last. It does
No.
go away. It's just that initial like, "Ooh."
Yeah. Well, well, you know what everybody does too is being in the business. I have to tell you, I give someone a product, right? And I go, oh, hey, let me have you try this, right? And I'll go like this and I'll put it on their skin and I'll pat it on their skin just so they can feel it. The first thing they do, they go like this and go, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 out of 10, I can guarantee you they're going to smell it before they do anything. Of course, I'm always going like, did they like it? Did Mikey like it?
Because that's how we do, you're showing it to 'em so they're seeing it, they're
Yeah.
feeling it, but now they wanna smell it. They can't taste it, so they're trying to use all those senses. And we do think, like, a lot of times we've been trained to put things on our body so we smell good, and I've even found as I've gotten older, yes, we're all getting older, is that, perfumes and things with certain scents kick up asthma in me and makes me cough. So I've had to get really careful about all of that, having more sensitivity if you've got autoimmune diseases or different things that have happened or after COVID or whatever, your body is sensitive to different things that maybe it wasn't before. So it's really smart to really have this clean beauty like your brand Immunocologie.
Yeah. Well, and we don't use fragrance, but we actually do two particular ingredients that are actually official antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory in a study for those
Mhm.
purposes. So one thing that you have to be very careful of today in synthetic fragrances that could be alarming to you, breathe that in, in that
Mhm.
whole area of your sensitivity, it's very hard to take that flower and really turn to a bottle, right? So
Mhm.
most fragrances are, and it's what the oil they put into it that heightens that. And so I'm a true believer that, I'm sort of in lavender as, people go, oh, chamomile, but it's so hard to get in there and be enough in there to be reactive, right? So that you can
Mhm.
use that the anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antimicrobial. So again,
Mhm.
in our industry, the fragrance industry is so interesting. Every fragrance is free they need to be and how sensitive they are to fragrances.
Yet the perfume industry is going crazy. But then they want it's this dichotomy of yes and no. So I have a girlfriend and I love her so much. She is very health conscious. Like if I made a smoothie, like a coffee drink, and I was putting vanilla creamer in there. What is that? What are you putting in there? No, I don't drink that stuff. But then she'll go and other women will go. This is, I think, like being so healthy, being so conscious. And then they go get Botox and they go get filler. And so I'm just laughing like, okay, I would never eat that. Oh no, don't eat this, don't do that. But then go inject all this stuff in your face and you're like, I guess they're picking their poison. But I think that's so controversial topic.
I am dealing with that all day. And, skin health is to me. And the importance is no matter whether we like. So Botox though is having its day. People don't know this, but I always say, "Look out, you know, drink smoothies and then use all those chemicals." Because talking about anti-aging, there are things that we do to bring vitality to our skin. There are things that we can do that are not in that category. If you do homework on that,
Mhm.
right? Which
Yeah.
is why when I said to you earlier, when I said we do not need another skincare brand, but is that we needed another we didn't have is a brand that was true skin. And
Yeah.
Melanie, as you know, it was working with a degree that clay water that I actually while I was sick.
Hmm.
And then it was my clay, my mask from and this is clay from France that has a higher level of minerals in it. And I realized the importance, seeing a naturopathic doctor, seeing a puncturist, going through things that were really about not adding chemicals to the body, right?
Yeah.
And so it was really to bring immunocology to market because it was that clay and that really made a difference on my skin. How I need to bring this to people, right? But in the search of doing that, it also what people are not doing and are as a leader in the subject matter and being a subject matter expert in this area of skin health and understanding what's in the products, like in, silicones, dimethicones, uh, the not only the petrolatoms, but there's a whole list of no, they don't want in there emulsifiers like
Mm.
sodium will be, bad for our skin. Sodium lauryl sulfate soap strips our skin. No, a body, but on our face isn't up against clothing, right?
Yeah.
And and so we have free radicals, attacking ourselves.
Mhm.
We need to do things that are going to be help with the antioxidants, with the energy that surround us in these airwaves, things that are going to hydrate the skin. And the skin knows two things. It needs to have water and it needs oil. Drinking the water is important on the skin is important. Putting the oil on the skin is important. And not just, someone asks, is castor oil okay for you? Well, it's okay. It doesn't have a delivery system in it. And castor oil by itself is like, just ate green beans every day. So, they only provide, and castor oil can only support a certain amount to the body. And you have to be careful with certain skin types. You have larger pores, smaller of these ingredients will cause the pores to expand or to look more enlarged. This whole category of how do we get our skin to a state and a pH that is balanced in a homeostasis, right? And skin is usually acidic than it is alkaline. So
Mhm.
that's where, even with the gut, we have to eat things that are going to keep our, well, we need to think about that for our skin as well. So we need to look at how we eliminate some of these that are actually in our cosmetics that are causing us to true balance by unbalance in our skin. And more women are getting, I hate to say this, are getting with cancer. Like it's crazy out there. Childhood cancer is getting in why? And the young girls that are going in for Botox, not to be a downer about it, but this day. And so the more you
Mhm.
do and stretch that right and eventually you get a rubber band because they can't take it and
Yeah.
you're gonna loosen it up and it's not gonna be a rubber, right?
So let's talk about facelifts because, there's women that go for multiple facelifts, and that's what you're saying. You can only pull so much. Hate to bring up the Kardashians, but they seem like I don't know what they're doing, but they've been doing, they've been having procedures for years and they look great. But at a certain point, do you get pulled too much? Like you can't pull anymore?
Well, there's a very true statement. I mean, there's only so much you can do. I mean, if you look at Priscilla Presley,
Yeah.
anyone has seen her, she doesn't look like what like before, right?
Right.
I mean, there are people out there who, because what happens is it just skin. Your skin is a living organ in that skin and actually rebuilds skin. And that's why it will heal itself. Know how deep it is upon how well it heals. In there and pulling
Yeah.
and you're pulling, there's no way that that's going to look the same as when were or age. So you're creating, your layers of skin. You've got your epidermis, your dermis, and your subcutaneous level of skin. You have your fibroblasts, we have collagen sits. You have that elasticity, right?
Yeah.
You want that cushion feeling on the skin because that's the collagen. And that's something that when you start getting in thinner skin, we talk about Botox, but we have to be careful about people are having way too many peels. And the way the peels are going, you're actually
Mm.
aging your skin faster than you realize it.
Wow.
So right now you might do it and just my skin's glowing today. I remind people, you go in the sun, you've got that beautiful glow, plumpy skin. And so my example is a roast beef, you slice it, plump, it's all this, put in the oven and it cooks and it comes out of the oven for a little, what happens? It shrivels up. And that same thing is
Yeah.
happening.
Shrinks.
Skin, right? Skin, blood supply, plumping up, bringing down. I have one to share with everyone, and that is around the eyes. The eyes are a very thin area, that the upper lips.
Mhm.
One of the things that we have to be very careful about around the eyes, that thinness and the pumping that goes on around the eyes. So I
Yeah.
always, think about a grape. A grape is nice and plump and it's moist, it's hydrated. And we eat grapes for the sugar content, we eat
Mhm.
grapes for the fruit content of that But if we let that grape sit around, we know that it turns into a raisin. To keep that raisin a raisin, they have to put oil on that raisin to make it a raisin. That's an interesting thing because if the, we use it as a grape. Now I happen to get when it's a grape more than it's a raisin. But the point that they put the oil, if you just oil on, well, that oil is only going to sit there so it can plump it. You do need that water to plump it. So if you put it in salad, like people make Waldorf salads and they put raisins
Right.
in it, and all of a sudden a little plumpy, right? They become plump. Oil has come off and they get the water in it. It plumps again. It's the skin does that. The skin does that as well. So around the eye, combination of oil and water, so that is not really oily. And when you do that, you're using an eye cream. You feel your fingers, tap it on your skin,
Mhm.
and if you put it on your eyes, feel how is it, or does it feel like it has a nice blend of water and oil? The water and give it that nice plumpness. But at the same time, you don't want it to be too watery, plumping, and it keeps plumping. Someone has puffiness around their eyes. They have that because there's a lot of, and you want to
Yeah.
take that fluid out, right? So you want to make sure you're careful on the choice of eye cream. And that's why, it very involves formulation. I want to know what people do formulate and how they formulate for the eyes. Now, sometimes that puffiness is also indication of what's going on with gut or other health issues. So be aware of that. Be aware that that puffiness can be other health issues.
Yeah, and I notice people who have who drink a lot or feeling is they have more puffy eyes, you know?
Yes. Yes. Or they get redness. Just finish it up a little bit more on the Botox. Now, rejection on it too much. That is not absorbing
Uh-huh.
skin like it used to. So a lot of people who are reverse from Botox and get Botox out of their body as well. So Botox go when it's in the body. Well, we don't really know where it goes, right? Pee it out. Does it go into our a big risk? No matter what. It's like, you should never take aspirins. One, don't want to overdose. Good for your liver, right?
Yeah, and they're saying these fillers, people are doing fillers around their eyes and in different places, and they're saying they don't dissolve. So then they end up with these chunky lines under their eyes and they can't little worms and then they get rid of them.
Yes. Because it's not natural,
Yeah. Yeah.
Melanie. It's not a natural way to, I said, skin isn't how to repair itself. That's key right
Yeah.
there. It knows how to repair itself. So what do? We don't shopping with us shoppers for clothing, or we have our mental health and well-being. We don't really have people who
Hmm.
go and really take us through what's best for them,
Yeah.
unless you're rich or skin.
Mhm.
The dermatologist certainly did not have time for that. It's not where he lies. He lies in the area of,
Right. And he wants to just sell you Botox and fillers.
and you know what? There's been craving for brands that are medically proven or scientifically proven to benefit. So these doctor
Yeah.
brands or these medical brands, please look at those ingredients that your body is absorbing that, like having too much iron or taking too many drugs, right? You're getting it into your skin. But as a leader and a coach to people with skin, I really reflect on going back.
Yeah. What a wealth of knowledge today. Tell people where they can go get Immunocologie. And I was just saying, she talks about the clay. So the clay is like your facial mask cleanser that I use, but I'm just saying I use it over my whole body because if it's good for my face, and I know if Karen made it, it's good for my whole body. So it's just, it's good for everywhere.
It really is. I just, so everyone knows, I had, and I had
Uh-oh.
some swelling in my leg. Sure enough, swelling in my leg. The reason why is because the clay in it, the clay water is an ionized water.
Hmm.
So just as a little point is great. The clay is amazing for all. And if you're having any, even eczema, a little psoriasis on Nathan as well. But, getting that on the skin, it also has the clay water it really developed immunocology because I realized, it works on me, not just as a cancer patient, but it's going to work really well on people that have sensitive skin
Yeah.
or people that be healthy and their skin being healthy. So immunocologie, that's IMMUNOLOGIE.com. And this is so in case we didn't catch that. Immunocologie. So think about what are you doing to hydrate? What are you doing to give your skin a drink? Right?
Right. So give your skin a drink today. Yeah, reach out to her. She has an Instagram that's fabulous. Karen Ballou is her personal Instagram. You can DM her there if you'd like to be a brand ambassador. She's brand ambassadors for Immunocologie, and I just love her skin products. As you can see, my skin is kind of glowing because I use her products. So thanks for coming, Karen. I hope you learned a lot. I always learn a lot. Thanks for coming, girlfriend. So, and if you're about writing a book, as always, we're Elite Online Publishing. So reach out to us and we make our authors bestsellers. If you're a thought leader, a business owner, work with us and we will help you launch your book and write your book if you need help writing it. We'll see you next time. Have a great week, everybody. And flow and hydrate. Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.